The 2025 NBA playoffs had already delivered a spectacle few could have anticipated, but nothing prepared fans for the clash that would pit Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves against the reigning magic of Luka Doncic. From the opening tip, it was clear. This was not just a game. It was a showdown between two forces of nature, each reshaping the very definition of modern basketball, and both determined to leave their mark in the annals of playoff history. Anthony Edwards, barely 24, had carried the Timberwolves on his broad, explosive shoulders. The Lakers, formidable as ever, were caught off guard by his relentless intensity. Edwards didn't just play. He assaulted the floor with a combination of athleticism, skill, and sheer willpower that made defenders question every decision. Every step, every feint, every sudden burst of speed was a statement, "You cannot stop me." And on that night, Edwards was unstoppable. He tore through the Lakers' defense, blending power and precision, driving to the rim with a footwork sophistication that belied his youth. A Euro step here, a reverse layup there. Each move orchestrated chaos for anyone daring to contest him. But what made Edwards even more dangerous was his evolution. Once primarily a slasher, he had honed his shooting, particularly from deep, to complement his driving. Three-pointers now came as naturally as his explosive drives, and the mere threat of his shot forced defenses into impossible choices. Would they collapse to prevent the penetration, or step out and risk the long-range fire? Either way, Edwards was waiting, ready to punish the slightest hesitation. Contrast this with Luka Doncic, a maestro in every sense. While Edwards thrived on chaos, Luka thrived on control. Watching Doncic in motion was like watching a conductor guide a symphony. Every dribble, every pivot, every glance at the floor dictated the rhythm of the game. Defenders bent and shifted, as if by some unseen force, reacting to movements they barely understood. And Doncic, with surgical precision, exploited every misstep. A simple ball screen wasn't just a play. It was a chess move, setting up not only the immediate action, but multiple possibilities that could unfold in the next few seconds. He didn't just score, he manipulated, calculated, and orchestrated. His passes were perfectly timed missiles, threading through traffic with a precision that seemed impossible in real time. It wasn't just that Luka could score. He made everyone around him better, turning teammates into extensions of his vision. The game oscillated between these two contrasting worlds. When Edwards had the ball, the air crackled with tension. The pace sped up, hearts raced, and defenders panicked under the relentless assault. He attacked with such confidence, so little hesitation, that the entire dynamic of the floor shifted. Luka, in contrast, slowed the world around him. With each possession, it seemed time itself bent to his will. Defenders moved at his tempo, trapped in a psychological game where anticipation often betrayed them. One calculated step back, one perfectly timed pass, and suddenly Edwards, high-intensity chaos would have to adjust to Doncic's meticulous rhythm. And yet this wasn't a story of dominance in isolation. The brilliance lay in the contrast, the way each player forced the other to respond. Edwards, sensing the control Doncic exerted, relied on bursts of pure athleticism and unpredictable footwork to disrupt the rhythm. A defender drawn out by Luka's passing might suddenly find themselves in Edwards' path, facing a spin move that left them flailing, or a jumper that barely left the floor before swishing through the net. Conversely, Luka's intelligence allowed him to exploit moments when Edwards' aggression left him slightly off balance, turning Edwards' energy into opportunities for precision execution. The chessboard of the court was alive with tension, a psychological duel as much as a physical one. And the scoring? It was staggering. Edwards launched into his high-flying repertoire, punctuated by thunderous dunks and Euro steps that defied conventional defense. The crowd roared at every highlight, their excitement feeding his intensity. Three-pointers weren't just shots, they were declarations. Every point was a statement, a message to the league. Anthony Edwards had arrived, and he could carry a franchise through sheer will and athletic dominance. But it wasn't mindless aggression. Beneath the explosive style lay refined footwork, a mastery of angles and timing. When double teams came, Edwards weaved, pivoted, and split defenses as if born to navigate congestion. His ability to adapt mid-move, to sense the defender's position and adjust in a heartbeat, transformed every drive into a surgical strike. Doncic, meanwhile, maintained his otherworldly calm. He dissected defenses with the patience of a chess master. Every pass carried intent, every movement dictated the tempo, and every shot was set up through layers of misdirection and calculated manipulation. A step-back jumper could freeze a defender in midair, while a no-look pass could lead to an uncontested layup across the court. Luka's scoring wasn't merely about putting points on the board. It was about constructing moments, forcing defenses to unravel, and creating opportunities that seemed almost magical. His ability to combine scoring and playmaking at such a high level made him arguably unstoppable when the game slowed down to his tempo. Watching both players was a lesson in basketball philosophy. Edwards was the embodiment of raw, explosive talent, combined with rapid evolution and a high basketball IQ that allowed him to adapt on the fly. Doncic represented calculated mastery, a strategic mind capable of controlling every possession and dictating the pace to maximize both his efficiency and his team's effectiveness. Edwards' style intimidated. It overwhelmed. Doncic's style mesmerized. It manipulated. And in this battle, both approaches collided, creating a narrative so rich that every possession felt monumental, every decision critical. NTHE playoffs magnified their abilities. Edwards, already a highlight machine in regular seasons, took it to another level. Fast breaks became instant scoring opportunities. Step-backs, floaters, and aggressive drives combined to keep defenders in constant motion, never knowing what was coming next. And when the Timberwolves needed a spark, Edwards delivered with the type of clutch mentality reserved for legends. His improvements in three-point shooting ensured that the floor could never collapse entirely against him, forcing defenses to play on their heels and creating openings that only someone with his agility and vision could exploit. And Doncic, for his part, turned every possession into an intricate puzzle for the opposition. Pick and rolls became a game of mental gymnastics, reading not just the defenders' positions but their tendencies, their likely reactions, and exploiting them with subtle feints, changes of pace, and perfectly timed passes. Even when not scoring, Luka's influence was palpable. Defenses adjusted to him, altering rotations, leaving seams open that his teammates could exploit. It was a level of court manipulation few had ever seen, a combination of intelligence, skill, and timing that rendered conventional defensive strategies almost obsolete. Yet amid all this skill and strategy, the emotional tension was palpable. Fans, analysts, and teammates alike could feel it. This was more than a game. It was a proving ground, a statement about the future of the league. Every clutch shot, every decisive pass, every explosive drive carried weight. Who would seize the narrative? Who would dictate the terms of engagement? Edwards and Doncic weren't just playing basketball. They were performing, conducting a drama that unfolded in real time, each move creating suspense and anticipation that gripped everyone watching. NTHE contrast of their styles created moments of pure cinematic intensity. Edwards would explode to the rim, evading defenders with athletic grace, only for Luka to respond with a calculated three-pointer or a no-look assist that left the crowd gasping. The game's rhythm oscillated unpredictably. Fast, frenetic bursts of Edwards, aggression followed by deliberate, almost hypnotic sequences orchestrated by Doncic. Each possession carried its own tension, its own story, and the stakes felt enormous. Watching them was witnessing two different visions of basketball collide, an elegant chaos that forced everyone involved to raise their level of play. And even defensively, the duel continued. Edwards wasn't just a scorer. He was learning the craft of disruption, using his speed and agility to anticipate passes, contest shots, and harass ball handlers. Doncic, while more methodical, had honed his defensive instincts, reading the floor to anticipate threats and position himself to influence outcomes even without the ball. The layers of strategy, skill, and intensity made every minute an education in elite basketball, a masterclass in what separates the extraordinary from the merely talented. As the game progressed, it became evident that both players were shaping not just the contest, but the narrative of the NBA's future. Edwards represented raw, evolving dominance, a player capable of changing a game in a heartbeat, blending athleticism, skill, and fearless creativity. Doncic represented refined, cerebral mastery, a superstar who could control the pace, manipulate defenses, and orchestrate his team's success with an almost supernatural understanding of the game. To watch them together was to see the extremes of basketball excellence in motion: chaos versus control, explosiveness versus precision, emotion versus calculation. NBY, the final quarter, the intensity had reached a fever pitch. Every shot attempt, every drive to the rim, every pass seemed weighted with consequence. Edwards' aggressiveness forced the Lakers into reactive defense, while Doncic's orchestrated plays countered each attack with precision, forcing Edwards to continually adapt. It was a duel of wills, a showcase of talent, and a spectacle that transcended the usual playoff narrative. The crowd wasn't just watching basketball. They were witnessing an unfolding saga, a story of skill, determination, and genius, where every move told a chapter and every score added tension to an already charged narrative. And as the buzzer approached, the question remained unavoidable. If you were building the ultimate team, who would you build around? Edwards, the electrifying force capable of single-handedly turning games and igniting teams with raw energy? Or Doncic, the methodical genius whose vision and precision could control outcomes and elevate everyone around him? The answer isn't simple, because both players represent a pinnacle of their respective styles. Both can lead a franchise, both can deliver victories, and both can create moments that will be remembered long after the final whistle. NTHE 2025 playoffs didn't just answer who could score or who could pass. They answered a deeper question about the nature of greatness in basketball. Is it the raw, untamed explosiveness of Anthony Edwards, capable of moments that leave audiences breathless? Or the calculated, mesmerizing mastery of Luka Doncic, orchestrating chaos into controlled brilliance? The answer, perhaps, is both. But the debate, the tension, the drama, that is what makes this battle truly ridiculous, unforgettable, and emblematic of the future of the game. In the end, fans weren't left with just statistics or highlight reels. They were left with a story of two players, two styles, two philosophies colliding on the grandest stage. Edwards' aggression and Luka's intelligence didn't merely coexist. They challenged each other, forcing growth, adaptation, and brilliance. And as the final buzzer sounded, the echoes of their rivalry lingered, a reminder that basketball at its highest level is as much about character, creativity, and courage as it is about points on a scoreboard. NTHE 2025 NBA playoffs had given the league a spectacle that would be remembered for years. Two young superstars, Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic, had not only battled for victory but had showcased the evolving narrative of the game itself, a contrast between explosive athleticism and cerebral mastery, between raw energy and calculated control. And as analysts, fans, and players dissected the match for weeks to come, one truth remained clear. This was a rivalry, a story, and a performance for the ages, a clash of styles so vivid and intense that the basketball world would never look at the game the same way again.